I'll give you a few moments.
Sure.
Um, so this is Tom, the visionary behind CMAsnap. He is the founder of CMAsnap, a revolutionary platform designed to streamline the process of generating CMAs for real estate professionals. He has a strong passion for real estate and technology, and Tom has built a solution that empowers agents to generate fast, accurate, and professional reports, all from within their existing MLS workflow. Tom, we're thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
when you're ready, could you start telling us a bit about your background and what inspired you to create CMAsnap?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you very much for having me. I've been a broker since 2009, 2010. And the market, I don't know if you guys remember, but they decided that they didn't want to loan money anymore in 2008. And so the market slowed down a good bit. And so I just started doing broker price opinions just to make a few extra bucks. And it started with that. And I actually I was in structured finance. My career was in structured finance before this. And so I really was, well equipped to move data around. And that process was highly analytical. It had some of the same components as pricing a debt instrument. Um, and I just kind of fell in love with the question of how much, right? And the other thing was is that I started taking, I got certified to do broker price opinions, and I started taking every CMA, every valuation class I could. And I didn't see any agents that were having a good time, right? Uh, CMAs have always been a point of contention with people, and I decided to do something about it. So I started working with appraisers and started, trying to build the building blocks of what was going to be required. Not to be an appraisal; it's definitely not appraisal, but it is. I think of it as an express appraisal with appraisal components. It'll get you in the ballpark, right? And so that's the short version of the story, and I'll be happy to elaborate on that, but we have a limited amount of time, so let's
Right,
get into it. I
right.
can wax poetic as long as you want me to.
All right. So now that we kind of have a better understanding of how CMAsnap came to life, let's dive deeper into your product itself.
Sure.
So CMAsnap is designed to unlock the power of fast, accurate, and professional CMAs. Perfect for real estate agents who need reliable data and efficient workflows. With CMAsnap, you can generate faster CMAs, ensure accuracy, create professional reports into a seamless MLS integration. So, Tom, take it away through a demo and show us these features and how it can simplify
Yeah,
the CMA process.
you bet. My pleasure. Okay, so allow me to share my screen here. Okay, so this is the CMA Snap dashboard. So these are reports that I've done. They're all taggable and manageable, and you can sort them out by data sets and customer name and all that. It's fairly clean and it's pretty easy. We try to make it easy for you to go run reports in advance and then circle back to them and refresh them and do whatever you need to do for customer touch points. But I'm going to go ahead and first I want to just point out that in the chat box there is a link to a file that'll show you how to sign in and all that. And I'm going to run through that very quickly. And it looks like this. Hold on one second. Here it comes. Okay, so it looks like this. This is the full-blown version, but it'll tell you that our tile is going to be if you scroll down to other services, you'll see a tile for CMAsnap down here, and if you click on that, it'll take you to the CMAsnap landing page, and then click the big yellow sign up button, and then you can log in either with an email address or through your Tangela credentials, and it'll take you right to terms of service, and then we'll start authorizing data sets. You'll have to put in a license number, and then you'll click submit, and then you'll be authorized for your data set, and then you start running reports. The full version of this file lives in HubSpot, and it's in the chat. So the link to it is in the chat, and I highly recommend that you guys take a look at it. So I'm just gonna dive right in here. So I'm gonna click on new report, okay? And I pulled an address out of Realtor.com last night, and it is 3810. I want to say Cheehaw. Um, It's in Raleigh. And so you put in the address and you click from the drop down, and we're going to pull up, if it's been listed in the MLS, we're going to pull up the most recent listing. If you wanted, for whatever reason, to look at older listings, you could do that. Or if it's never been listed, you can click on search tax records, and then you could start from a tax record. But we have a fresh listing here, and there's a couple things we could do. We could either look at the listing and just sort of go down here and check all the attributes. You can click into the pictures and see what you're dealing with as far as your subject property's condition, and upgrades or lack thereof. Um, but we have a pretty decent data set here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on create report. And again, we'll get a property profile here that'll have all the attributes that we look at in the listing. We're just going to make sure that all that's correct. Nobody's added a pool or, added square footage or whatever. And I'm going to click submit. And when we do that, the system's going to go out in distance and back in time as far as it needs to find a good set of relevant comps. We aim for 3 solds and 3 actives. The first net we throw out is within 20% of the square footage and built within 5 years. And if we don't find that, then we expand in both property parameters and distance and time. But usually we can deliver this information in 8 to 15 seconds if you have a decent connection. Now, normally this is the dashboard. This is the first place that you land when you come to CMAsnap. And from here you can do a bunch of things. There's you can change any of the comps. You can make all kinds of adjustments. You can check and see how pricing would affect with different things. But before I jump into that, what I want to do is I want to show you the volume of information that you can deliver in just a few seconds. So this is textable by email, by text or email, or you can download a copy for print. This is what we call the short report. It's 3 pages. It's got a Fannie Mae 1004 market condition report, gives you all the comp ranges, features on the subject property, and then it gives you an idea of pictures. And these are the comps lined up side by side. So we got 3 closed and 3 pendings on this one. And then we lined up the comps side by side so that you can say with your clients, you can go, look, here's the difference between our lot size and this comp number 1 lot size. Or, we have 1,577 square feet and they have 1,646 square feet. So we're going to make a negative square footage adjustment to account for the fact that this house is a little bigger than ours. Right. And then we have a host of, information graphics that you can go through, and you can sort of walk through with your customers and visualize, how the market looks and how their property might fit into it. Right. For example, we take the subject property square footage and we run it across a trend line, and then we come up with a number. So right now they cross the trend line at 321. And the idea there is the customer says, haha, 321, you got to be crazy. Our house is worth way more than that. And you go, okay, well, cool. Here's one that sold for 343. Let's go compare yours and see whether or not you have all these fantastic upgrades. And if you do, great. Let's test that price. I got a sign in a lockbox in the trunk. I'll be right back. You sign this. We'll have it in the MLS tomorrow. So the whole app is designed for you to be able to convert business, right away. Then we have days on market chart and a bunch of different things. But then we have a longer report that's designed for high resolution print that you could take. For example, you could print out some of them to an open house. And it's just got a little bit more information. It's a little prettier, and it's got more details on each one of the comps. We still line them up side by side for easy comparison. And then we put pictures out for each one of the comps. And here's an interesting, bit of functionality for you. These pictures come across in the order that we get them from our API, from our data provider, which is Doorify through Spark. But you can go through, I'll show you this quick bit of functionality so nobody gets nervous. You can go through and you can sort these images so that in your report, you can have a front elevation, and you can have a, picture of the, that's the same picture. You can have a picture of the bathroom, you can have a picture of the kitchen, and you can sort these out and they'll show up on your report any way you want. Okay. So that's really what, in a nutshell, what we try to do is deliver you a broad spectrum of information to help you win conversion. And if that means sometimes conversion just means the next appointment, right? Sometimes the conversion, excuse me, is, we've all, as realtors, we've all had opportunities drop in our lap. And, from the checkout line at the grocery store to the parking lot, you could have a listing appointment just by telling somebody, you know, a little bit about what's going on in the market. And so that's what we're all about. And from those very short conversations in the parking lot to a full-on listing presentation where you're going through this thing with your customer and you're determining what price you want to list it at, we try to give you all of that so that the bottom line is you can have everything in a really short period of time. And then the other thing too is that, you know, if you're a buyer's agent, I don't know about you guys, but right now it seems like a very, very important time in the business to be able to establish your expertise and your market knowledge, especially as a buyer's agent when you're trying to get paid, right? And so we're really keen on that. Like when you're going out and showing houses the night before, you can run, you know, 5 or 10 or whatever you want to do. I try to personally when I'm showing houses, I try to keep it to 5 or below a day, but you can run all of those addresses, and then as you go and show the houses and you open the doors, you can pull them up on your phone and you can be well versed in what's going on with the property. So, having said that, I'm going to run you through a couple of pages here. So again, this is the dashboard. Up here, this is sort of a market overview. We have several different links that you can use. This one, for example, is a market condition report, basically. So within the few seconds that it takes, you can tell your client within a mile and a half in the last 4 months, there have been, look at that, 191 properties sold, but there's only 9 active, which tells me that listen, there's a lot of demand in this market. Maybe it'd be a good time for us to take a look at your house tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Works for me. How about you? And then we can walk through and you can tell us all the special things about your house, right? So up here we have a summary box. We give you adjusted sales price, quick sale price, which is 95% of the adjusted sales price. And we tell you what our gross living area adjustment is. We give you comp ranges and all that. And then down here, these are all action buttons where you can toggle properties in and out of pricing. So sort of our, one of the things that we deliver is instant feedback on the combination of comps that you select. So for example, let's say that I'm going to take comp number 3. For whatever reason, I don't like that comp, so I'm going to remove it. And if you keep your eye on this adjusted sales price up here, if I click on this dollar sign down here, it's going to change because now it went from 313 to 300 because now I'm only pricing on these two. And I took this one out, right? And so all of these buttons actually, this one brings you to the listing. If you needed to edit the listing down here, you could do that. And then the dollar sign or the no dollar sign, a Ghostbusters thing, is what I call it. That appears whether or not it's in or out of pricing. And then our adjustments modal is right here. These are system selected or system generated adjustments, I should say. And then down here, if there's something else, right, we have a whole drop down. For example, you can make adjustment on, full condition, right? If you walk into a house that hasn't been remodeled and your subject has been, then you might want to make a condition adjustment. And then we have that pre-programmed. And again, these are sane recommendations. All right. This is not, if you show the same swimming pool to 5 different appraisers, you're going to get this, 5 different answers. So what we try to do is get you in the ballpark, right? So that you can be, conversive, about the property. And then you can go back and you can discuss these things with your client, right? So then you would click submit, and then that would appear in your adjustment set. So that's the main functionality. And I'll just go down here and sort of, give you a quick tour, right? So this is the subject property over here. These are all the attributes of the comp. And then our adjustments begin. So these attributes go to right here, right? And then, excuse me. So this bottom line, and then these are all system generated or user generated adjustments, okay? So all of these prices are based on, after adjustments, right? So this is what they actually sold for. And then after accounting for the differences between that and your subject property, that's the adjusted value. And then that's where we get the adjusted sales price, okay? So if you decided, for example, that you wanted to review the comps or change the comps yourself, you could go over to the comps page, right? So 95% of the time that you spend in CMAsnap is going to be between the dashboard and the comps page. And this is where you can sort of sort and slice and dice, and you can get really forensic. For example, like right now, the system selected 3 comps that I'm fairly happy with. They're in the same neighborhood. We went back 4 months, and by the way, I got here you know, all these action buttons open up information, right? So we only went back 4 months, but watch what happens if I increase the distance and time, right? So all of a sudden I start getting a few more here and there, and I get more to choose from. In this case, I'm actually fairly happy with them, but I could go into comp number 2, for example, and switch it out for that one right there. And now I'm at 325 versus 315 a minute ago. So we give you a way for you to go in and evaluate the comps. To evaluate them, you click on the little information button here. You can click into the pictures and gauge what the condition of the house is. That's a nice floor, man. One of the things that you'll find yourself doing is, you know, it's a quick way to look at a lot of property really quick and see how it would affect, you know, your listing presentation or your buyer's presentation in terms of gathering comps and coming up with a legitimate price. But all of these things are changeable, right? So if you wanted to go out farther in distance, if you wanted to look at bigger houses, if you wanted to look at older houses, all these things are easy to do. We just make it as easy as we possibly can for you to be able to sort them in the way that you want to sort them. I mean, one of the features that we have is you can sort these columns to fit your own mind's eye, right? I like to have sold date on the far left, and then street address, then year built, then distance, and then like that. But you can sort these things any way you want. Okay. So then after the comps page, then we have the trends page. This is where we get our market data. We do quarter over quarter analysis, and we do it on both sales market trend and a lease market trend if you have an active lease market in your MLS. And the way that I use these is that when I'm talking to an investor, for example, we'll be looking at a house and I'll say, listen, worst case, these are buckets, right? Lower third, middle third, upper third. So the worst case, we should be able to get around 1750. Best case, you know, 1900, 2000 maybe. We can go in here and we can look at specific listings, right? And this one here, Painted Rock, right? That was the high dollar listing, right? Listed at 2,100. You can go in here and you look at the pictures and you can say to your client, okay, if we want to list this for $2,100, it's got to look at least this good, and we got to catch the market right. So the idea is that we're just trying to give you overall data that you can relay to your clients quickly. And then we have our infographics page, which is a visualization of a Fannie Mae 1004, months of inventory. And then, as I said before, we take the subject property and we run it across the trend line and give you some comparisons. And then this is actually the days on market chart is actually my favorite one, because you can talk to your clients about pricing their houses accurately. You know, if you look at one that sold in 4 days, for example, all right, you go into the listing. I don't know why they hit a $5,000 price reduction in 4 days, but that's what they chose to do. Usually what it shows is that if you price your house accurately, it'll go at the list price. There you go. There's one at the list price, sold in 3 days. As opposed to going out here and you pick this one that sold in 95 days, and they started out at 281, and actually I'll bet you the original list price was 282, right? So you can explain to your clients that, listen, the whole idea of pricing high so you have room to negotiate really doesn't work, right? If you go 21 days and you don't have a contract or an offer on the house, showings will drop off dramatically until you do a price reduction. So they're just a bunch of different data points that you can share with your client and be able to be effective and persuasive in a conversation. And then from that point, you can either send it out in a short report or a long report. There are plenty of things that we do to try to make it advantageous for you. So for example, if you're prospecting to a client and you haven't met them before, you haven't walked through the house, what you might want to do is hide your sales price and not get yourself boxed in until you've walked into their house and you can judge the condition of it for yourself. So that's really the the meat of the matter. And at this point, I would ask if there's any questions.
Yeah, fantastic, Tom. It's clear that, CMAsnap not only saves time, but also ensures, the precision and professionalism that real estate professionals need. So as Tom alluded to, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in the box. Tom, we do have some that have already come in, and
Okay.
I will certainly read those off to you, and then you can
Please.
answer some of those.
Please.
So, first question was, what area does CMAsnap cover in North Carolina?
Right now, we are in Doorify. So
Yeah.
anything in the Doorify MLS. We hope to, be all over the state at some point, but right now we're in Doorify.
Yeah. Okay. Another question was, what methodology is used for square footage adjustments?
So great question. So what we do is with square footage, we take and if I got any appraisers in the room, don't don't get ready to jump out the window. But what we do is we take the average sold price per square footage of the comps that you have selected for pricing, right? All of these price comps, we take the average square footage that they sold for, and then we use 30% of that, right? Basically, in a total square footage measurement, the house only accounts for like 30% of the entire value by component, right? So that's the appraisal methodology that we use for gross living area adjustments. We
Okay.
also have one. I would add that we also have above and below ground finished adjustments, which, as far as I know, nobody else does. So we make adjustments for below grade finished areas for like basements.
Okay. Another question that came in was, will this same data be available for rentals?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that. We are working on that. We're working on a rental version of CMAsnap that should be available in the next couple of months. We're talking to a bunch of property managers, and the same way that we worked with appraisers in working out our sales adjustments and all that. We're talking to a bunch of property managers and trying to isolate the best methodology to be able to make comps, make adjustments on comps for rentals. So yes, that is definitely coming.
Okay, great. I've heard you answer this question before, but how is this different from the RPR report?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is it's not free. uh, PR is a massive program, and it's a fire hose of data, and there is no doubt about that. And what I've for my own use, and again, I really started this for my own to try to solve my own problem, right? BPOs took too long, and I wanted to make them short, and then it became a CMA program to where I made it even shorter. There's a lot of things that I don't need, and the other thing is that RPRs, you have to tell it what to do. You have to define all the parameters. Also, RPR doesn't have comprehensive sold data. Since we're in the MLS and we're integrated, we have all the sold data, and for some non-disclosure states, that's a bigger differentiator. But if I guess the best answer to that would be go to a Harris Teeter and stand in line and run a CMA on CMAsnap, and then try to run one on RPR.
Mhm.
That's the way I can put it to you.
Mhm.
We're just faster, we're simpler, and we're easier to explain, and we're much more concise on the how much question versus how far do you have to drive to find a Baptist church, kind of a thing.
Another common question that's come in is, are you using off-market comps also, or just what the MLS has?
I'm not. Let me qualify that. So we automatically pull in comps that are in the MLS. However, we do have a function where you can add comps. You can pull a property listing if you know of a comp that sold off market, right? You can pull a property listing by the address, and then, for example, and it doesn't matter also whether or not it was in the search results for a listed comp. If there was a listed comp that was outside of our search parameter, for example, if we were stopping at 1.95 miles and it was 1.96 miles away, it wouldn't show up, and you could add it. So I'm gonna just use let's see here. What's the best way to do this? Hold on 1 second here. I'm gonna do 4132 Mackinac Island. We already got that in there, but 32 Mackinac. There we go. All right, so I could pull this and I could select the property, and then just for drill, what I could do is I'd pull in the tax. What you would do is if it's off market, you'd probably pull in the tax record, okay? And then you click on select, and then you have a place up here to fill in the stuff, right? It wasn't listed, but if you know the sold price and you know the sold date, and you fill out all this stuff, then you can add that to your report. However, I would caution you that when you use off-market properties, you need an appraiser is only going to use an off-market property in evaluation if they have closing documents to prove it, right? So you can absolutely do that, but I would just say be judicious about it.
Okay. Um, I think that's about all the time we have today,
Okay.
Tom. So thank you for such an insightful demonstration. It's clear
Yeah.
that it is a game changer.
Thank
Um,
you.
we will be sure to post to our help center with all the links and resources you need, including how to get started with CMA Snap. We will also post the recording in our Monday newsletter. So
Okay.
thank you again, Tom, and all of you for attending today's product showcase. We hope you're as excited as we are about CMA Snap has to offer. And stay tuned. Tomorrow, we also have a webinar that Tom will be doing. So if you want to get a more detailed synopsis of what you saw today, please go on and register in your dashboard for that class tomorrow.
Great.
All
I was
right.
just going to raise my hand and ask you guys to be sure and send me the questions that we didn't get
Yes,
to, because I will
of course.
absolutely answer every one of them.
Yes, and we'll provide that on our FAQs too.
All
So
right.
that is it for us today. So we hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.